Leeds United search for their first victory of the current Premier League campaign, and they'll continue that search on Saturday afternoon as they welcome West Ham United to Ellen Road. The Whites are currently 17th in the league table, having picked up just 3 points from the opening 5 matches, whilst our beloved West Ham have collected 8 points from our first 5 games, sitting in 8th place in the Premier League. Matt, Leeds United away from home, Ellen Road, how are you feeling about it, mate?
You know what? It's going to be entirely. I think it will be entirely different to last season. I think purely because they've got the crowd behind them this year. Like I'm trying to think when was the last time we played them with a crowd in front of us?
With the crowd in front of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's the crowd does make a difference. We saw that with Sheffield United. You know, the season they came up, they finished like 7th. Next season they had no fans, got relegated. It will make a big difference. They are slightly struggling with injuries, which, does relate to them having a poor start, but they got a brilliant manager, plays some great football in Bielsa.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll be down where they are come the end of the season. I think there's a lot worse teams in that league. And I think when they start getting some of their injuries back, I mean, they got like a massive injury crisis at the back of the
Well, listen, Matt, don't jump in ahead of the gun of the preview. We'll hold this thought. Let's quickly jump into the chat, see who's around. Father Snowman, hope you're well. Pete Chapman, thank you very much. Aidan, good to see you. James Bong, oi. Alfie, good to see you too, mate. Bernie, good to see you. Danny Lake, good to see you. Lee Vassallo, good evening. Pete Mahone, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well, having a great week. And WHU58, hello, Anton and Matt and everyone else. There's loads more kicking about. But no, without further ado, I think it's time to bring in our opposition. Let's talk Leeds, mate. So everyone, please welcome Oscar from All Leeds TV. I think this is your hat-trick appearance, Oscar, on the channel. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us, mate. How you doing?
No, pleasure as always, boys. I'm a bit gutted that we've got to talk about football in this. I'm not going to lie. That's been the low point of every week, to be fair, since the start of the season. I'm not going to lie. It's gone from being the high point to the low point in about 2 months. Wow, we've had a shocker, to be honest, to the start of the season. Loads of different reasons for it, which I'm obviously going to go through right now with you boys. But yeah, not been great, to say the least. 17th is a fair reflection of where we're at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, we all know about Bielsa. We all know about what a tactician the man is. So, it's not been the best of starts this season. What do you put that down to?
Loads of different reasons, really. I think, first of all, we played Liverpool and Man United in the first 5 games, which is never ideal. Everton as well, to be fair, was a much more difficult game than maybe what we were expecting. We did well to get a draw out of that. And then, obviously, the 2 winnable games we've had is Burnley and Newcastle, both being away from home. So that's been a bit of a factor, because I do think, as Matt was saying, home and away is a bigger factor this season than it was last season. I think there was hardly any difference between away form and home form for any teams. I think for a lot of teams, the away form was actually better than the home form. So that's definitely a factor. Obviously, had a lot of injuries, big injury problems to key players. And yeah, I just think in general, just not looked particularly sharp. I don't think there's really been any of the 5 games where we played well, to be honest. I think maybe Everton at home we played okay, but the other games we've been well below par. And I just think there's a little bit of, this is now the 4th season of Bielsa. A lot of the teams, the same players that started that first season under Bielsa, was a mid-table championship club. And yeah, I think maybe we could have done more in the transfer window, but we didn't ultimately. And I think some of the players maybe it's just been a bit difficult for. A couple of them are playing out of position. It's telling a little bit. Luke Ayling, Rodrigo Moreno, Stuart Dallas, all tending to play out of position quite a bit. And yeah, performances have dropped for most individuals. It's only really been Rafinha, Phillips and Meslier who I can honestly say who have turned up so far this season, to be frankly honest with you.
But do you think, I know it's not been a great start in the Premier League, but, you had a midweek win in the League Cup. Is that something that can give a boost to you guys and Bielsa and the team?
It is, but it wasn't the most convincing of wins. 0-0 at a championship team away from home, and well, we obviously win the penalty shootout. Although we did win the penalty shootout, that's something that's a rarity for us. Yeah, I think it can give us a bit of a boost. The fact is we kept our 2 clean sheets in the League Cup, which is nice. But yeah, I'm not panicking too much. It's just been a bit of a frustrating start for us. I think obviously the way we finished last season, I think we were second in the form table, just below Man City. For the last sort of 10 or so games. In fact, after we played you guys, we kind of had a massive upturn in form after that game in March where, in all honesty, you completely outplayed us for much of that game. But yeah, it's just been disappointing in that sense that we haven't really had that kickstart we haven't really continued last season's momentum. But there's a couple of reasons for that, as I've already said. But I think key injuries, maybe not the best of pre-season preparations. I think we had a pretty poor pre-season as well. We didn't win a game in pre-season, or certainly not against any particular calibre of opposition, and we conceded a lot of goals, and it seems to have damaged the confidence a lot. And I know it's only pre-season, but I think just the confidence, just in general, looks a little bit low. I think when we we start games okay. I think we even started the Liverpool game okay, and we got battered in the end of that game. But we started the first 15, 20 minutes, and I thought, I tell you what, we're going to give Liverpool the game here. The crowd's up. And then we miss a big chance, or we make a mistake at the back, and then we can't recover from it. And that's maybe been a little bit disappointing because we've always associated a Bielsa team with resilience. Against Newcastle last week, we go 1-0 this time last week. We're playing Newcastle. We go 1-0 up inside 10 minutes. The crowd is massively against Newcastle at that point, booing everything, Bruce out, and then we just drop off. We just completely drop off in terms of intensity. Miss a couple of big chances. And then Newcastle go up the other end and score, and we never really recover from that. The man-to-man marking's caused us problems as well. Again, as David Moyes said in his press conference, I thought it was a superb press conference off David Moyes, by the way, in terms of the praise he had for Bielsa from a Leeds fan's point of view. And he was spot on with quite a lot of what he said. It wasn't so much David Moyes was criticising us, but he did make the point that we like to man mark. We're very direct on and off the ball in terms of we very much go toe-to-toe with any opposition. So we will try and man-mark people. So I'd imagine it'd be Calvin Phillips on side Benrahma tomorrow, Dallas on Fornals, probably Junior Firpo on Bowen. You can very much expect that. So they're going to be very key battles. And the problem is with that, we've found that obviously Firpo and Dallas haven't particularly started the seasons too well. And when we do lose a duel, it becomes very open then. We effectively, say if Firpo's marking Bowen. If Bowen beats Junior Firpo in a 1v1, Bowen's got half the pitch then to work with. And then someone else has got to go across the meeting, and there's loads of space for the person he was marking. So that's the disadvantage we've found this season. I think what I've got to say, though, Anton and Matt, and I'm not sure if you'd agree with this or not, this is the highest quality Premier League I've ever seen. In terms of quality. It's absolutely insane. You're looking at teams like Crystal Palace, no disrespect to them, but you're looking at like the forward lines they can put out. You're thinking Hudson Edouard, Zaha, Eze, that's just an example. I think every single team's got a difference maker in them. Even Watford have got Sarr and people like that. I'm thinking the quality is absolutely crazy. When you do get a win, it's going to feel absolutely fantastic for us. But it's so high quality. And that's a big thing as well. And with the man-to-man marking, there's always going to be someone on that pitch who can beat us, in terms of can dribble past us, can carry the ball. And there's a lot of players for West Ham who can do that, which has got me a little bit concerned, to be honest.
Absolutely. Matt, what do you say then to what Oscar said?
I just want to let him keep talking because he keeps picking us up at the moment. I feel quite happy about it.
It's not very often it happens, though.
No.
On you go. What do you say?
As I said, the thing is, you talked about the Newcastle game last week. I thought you played really well. Like, I was watching that game and I was sitting there thinking, how were you not winning? And was it for P&O, the left back, missed an open goal at the end of the first half. And I thought if that had gone in, you'd have just walked the second half because Newcastle were there for the taking. I don't know if you're missing your finishing, you haven't got your shooting boots on at the start of this season. I know Bamford came off and that maybe was a big loss, but I don't. I'm trying to nitpick as why you are where you are. Like I said, you've got a few injuries at the back, which doesn't help. When you've got a settled team, a settled 11, and then you're chopping and changing and playing players out of position, it's going to hurt you. But I don't know. I think you'll be all right. I generally do. I've seen some of the teams in the league. I've seen exactly the two teams you played, Newcastle and Burnley. Norwich. I think those three in particular I'm not particularly big on at all. So I think you've got the quality. I think you need to get players back. I think at the moment it's it's almost like just damage control until you get your defense.
No, exactly. It's exactly that. It's absolutely totally that for us. And I agree, Matt. To be honest, I think we will be okay. I think ultimately, when we finish the season, and you boys will know as well, when West Ham finish the season, I imagine it's the same thing. And you finish with momentum, all of a sudden you're thinking, right, we've got to finish above 9th. In your head, you're kind of thinking that. But when I actually stood back a little bit before going into the season and looking at what the other teams were doing, I was thinking, I've always thought we'll be okay. I still think we'll stay up. I still think ultimately with Rafinha, Phillips, Meslier, we've got 3 real difference makers in there. Llorente as well, when he's fit at centre back, is absolutely critical for us. And that's 4 players who I think are absolutely top class and could probably get into most teams outside the top 6. So I think we'll be okay. I think obviously under Bielsa we've got one of the best. I still believe one of the best managers in the league. I'm not going to change my opinion on that after 5 games. Absolutely no chance. So yeah, I still think we'll be okay, but I think ultimately it'll be more difficult this season. I do think we're going to finish lower. I think if we can finish 12th, 13th, have maybe a little bit of a cup run as well, then that'll be absolutely fantastic for us. I think it's just all about making sure that if there is a bit of a drop off, it's not too big a drop off. It's not a Sheffield United level drop off. And yeah, you can look at the results and say it looks like that at this moment in time, but I just think with the players to come back in, it's a massive boost for us when they do come back in. When we're actually playing people in their proper positions, that's a boost as well. And yeah, I compare it a little bit to. It's going to sound mad. It's a little bit like Liverpool last season. Obviously when Van Dijk got injured, and it was kind of a domino effect that everyone was then having to play out of position, and the result just drops off from a cliff.
Well, yeah, it is right because they did lose. I think their 3 first starting centre backs, didn't they? Which is almost the situation you're in right now. It is, yeah. It might not be as high up the league, but I mean, I'm not being funny. If you said to us, Zuma or Bonner and Diop are all going to be injured and we've got to play Dawson and someone else, we either have to play a kid out of the academy or drop Declan Rice into the back, and he hasn't played in a while, it's not going to work. You will struggle, and it's a hard thing when you sit there and teach a team to play. You teach players to play certain positions, and then all of a sudden you get hit like that. But as you said, the quality of the manager, the players you've got, I think you're right. The only thing for me that you did touch on was that I thought you may have spent more in the window. I know you brought in the left back, and you did a brilliant piece getting Harrison
and Dan James as well.
Yeah, them 3, and I was sitting there thinking you brought in some quality, but I don't know. I think maybe I just thought your owners might have chucked more money at it and gone.
Yeah,
you've stayed up now. Let's have a big window so we can push on.
That was it. I mean, obviously, I've always felt that Bielsa, if it's not this season, it might be next season. Being totally honest, in terms of his last season at Leeds, I think there's very much a possibility of that. I did feel we'd go for it more. There was obviously big talks of people like Rodrigo de Paul, Mateus Cunha, both went to Atletico Madrid. So it sums up in terms of, I think we have had that. We have looked, at the stars, if you like, but we've just not been able to attract them so far. I think it's difficult for us because obviously there's a lot of teams in our position at this moment in time trying to bridge that gap, to the top 7. I know that sounds crazy when you're talking about top 7, but the way we finished last season, we were only actually a couple of points outside it. I did feel we would do more, I'm not going to lie, but I can kind of understand why it's been difficult. Because, we spent 100 million last summer. That's something that kind of does get forgotten about, even by Leeds fans, that gets forgotten about. I mean, the fact is we had so many injuries, and we've not actually seen any of the 4 signings we made last season. Robin Koch, Diego Llorente, Rodrigo, Meslier, all on the pitch at the same time. And Rafinha actually made that 5. We've only actually, I think it's about an hour. I think we've seen them all on the pitch at the same time. So, the quality's there, I think. Maybe not to finish top 7, but I think certainly the quality's there to finish mid-table again. I think it's just a case of how often can we get these players on the pitch? Have we improved the depth enough is quite a big thing as well. I think we did have to get the Dan James deal done because Helder Costa, Poveda, backup wingers just simply weren't good enough. When Rafinha was injured, or Harrison was injured, we never looked like getting anything from any game. I remember a game towards the back end of last season away at Brighton when Brighton were not doing particularly well. Rafinha was out and we just looked absolutely clueless in the game. That was one player out, and I'm not saying we're reliant on one player and we're a one-man team or anything like that, but when you do take one piece out of such a specific system under Bielsa, a 4-1-4-1 is a high-risk system. When you do take one player out, it has a big effect. And to be honest, I think with West Ham, I think you're remarkably good at that in terms of coping with injuries. When you do have a player missing, I do personally think you do cope with it really well, considering from time to time. And you've massively improved your own depth, I think, in this window.
Matt, it's not very often I don't get to say a word for about 10 minutes, and between the two of you, I've had a chance to say nothing.
I thought you enjoyed it, mate. I thought you enjoyed it.
It's quite nice sitting back and listening. And Oscar, it's an absolute pleasure, mate. I love it because it's like you're giving us so much knowledge. This is the good thing about having opposition fans coming on. You're giving us such insight into the team that you love, support, watch every single day, every single game that they play. It's better coming from you than it is coming from us. Can we just take a quick look and see what happened the last time out the two clubs met each other, though? One of the big differences, I suppose, between the two games that we played Leeds last year, comparison to the games this year, is fans. What a difference that's going to make. Of course, we did beat you, done a double over yourselves last year, Oscar. And we had a player particularly that we've seen there in that image, Jesse Lingard, who was pivotal into the reason why we were successful in turning you over in the home leg. We don't have him this season, but here's an interesting stat for you. Leeds have not actually beaten West Ham since 2005, and again, like I said, suffered back-to-back losses. Matt, don't camp down. I know what you're going to say, lad. Don't do it, Anton. Don't do it, Anton. But when it comes to West Ham, Oscar and Bielsa, what do you think Bielsa's going to do against West Ham, considering that you do have key players potentially missing for this game?
I still think we'll play on the front foot. Obviously, there's been a bit of debate about. We know the players were definitely out. I think the debatable ones are Rafinha, Harrison, Ayling. I think Rafinha will. I think knowing the personality that he is, he probably will almost insist on playing. He's that kind of mentality. He wants to play every minute of every game. He wants to affect every minute of every game. He's a fantastic player, and I think he's got to be fit for us to have a chance in this game. To be honest. But in terms of man-to-man marking, I don't expect that to change. Although I wouldn't mind us changing it against Said Benrahma because I think he's an absolutely superb player. I know a lot about him from the Championship, where he played a lot of big battles of Brentford in the promotion battles over the last 2-3 years. Fantastic player. Fornals, again, someone who I think is massively underrated. And obviously Antonio up top of me. Antonio is a scary proposition because we're lacking that physicality without Llorente, without Robin Koch at the back. We're lacking that, and even Pascal Struijk. We're lacking that height at the back, definitely speed at the back as well in terms of coping with Antonio's pace. And he's an unbelievable player for me, Antonio, in terms of what he does. And unbelievable in the sense that he's underrated. I don't know how he's still so underrated. So we've got that issue. And then there's the thing about Declan Rice, Declan Rice against Calvin Phillips. I've never been one to, I think there's a big thing in terms of,
comparing
who's the better player.
Yeah.
Who does what better? I just think they're different types of player. I think both are fantastic footballers. In fact, Declan Rice is probably, if you thought asking me favourite players who don't play for Leeds, Declan Rice is right up there. Absolutely love his mentality. I love the way he plays the game. And he's going right to the top. Absolutely no doubt about it. But I don't like the comparison between the two because they're slightly different players and they were both absolutely outstanding together in the Euros. I think there's a lot of respect.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Oscar. Sorry to interrupt you, but I really do. I think there's been so long that before the Euros that two fan bases have tried to compare these two players. There's no ifs or buts about it. As a West Ham fan, we're over the moon to have a quality player like Declan Rice. He just goes under the radar, game in and game out, but he's man of the match. He's given us 8 and 9, probably number 9 out of 10 performances every single week. The stuff he does in the side. And then you've got Calvin Phillips, who West Ham fans don't get to see a lot of, but I mean, how impressed were we all with how the two of them performed together at the Euros? They complemented each other so well. Like, could you imagine a Leeds United side with a Declan Rice alongside Calvin Phillips, or a West Ham with a Calvin Phillips alongside? But the fortunate thing for West Ham is that we do already have a partnership alongside Declan Rice with Tommy Soucek, but there's no ifs or buts about it. A Calvin Phillips would add more or value, or equal value, or more value to that circumstances. But we do, and I agree with you about the comparison thing. What about Patrick Bamford? I mean, we're hearing that he may not make it. What do we know about that?
He's definitely out, Patrick Bamford. So I would expect, I don't know if it'll be Tyler Roberts or Rodrigo up top. One of them will probably go into the 10 role. One of them will probably go up top. I'd imagine, if I'm guessing, it'll be Rodrigo who goes up top, Tyler Roberts just behind him. I would have thought. But it's a big one for Rodrigo, because if Rodrigo's playing in his best position, he's got to perform. He's been given a lot of excuses in terms of he's been terrible, to be honest, Rodrigo. I'm not going to skirt around the issue. He's been terrible this season, Rodrigo. I know he's been playing out of position, but tomorrow is his big opportunity if he is playing that centre forward spot. He'll offer a different kind of threat to Bamford. And he did finish last season really well when he went into the centre forward role. I think it's 4 goals in his last 4 games when he did actually play in that position. And he'll offer a bit more pace. I've got to say, though, in terms of Zuma and Ogbonna, that's a really good centre-back pairing. They did really well in that Man United game for me. I felt sorry for Zuma, to be honest, because I thought he was man the match by a mile in that game. I thought he did a fantastic job. And I'm just looking at it and thinking, my issue is going into this game, if Rafinha's not on the pitch, or if Rafinha's not an 8 or 9 out of 10 tomorrow, how are we going to break down this West Ham team? That's what I'm thinking, because it's just so... You've got Zucic and Rice in front of the back 4. Both offer you a lot of quality on the ball, but both really do the hard work off the ball as well. The dirty work fantastically well.
And Oscar, you can see probably by myself and Matt's face that week in and week out when we do these shows, that we get flabbergasted about the opposition who talk up West Ham, and we're still struggling to come to terms with that because we're not used to it. But you made a valid point about what you were saying about Leeds, that you were missing big chances, and if you were going 1-0 down or going 1-0 up, you were taking your gas off the foot off the pedal, and that was reminiscent of West Ham, Matt, before we had David Moyes and before we committed to the long-term journey on the vision of what Moyes is doing. Now, this is no disrespect to Bielsa, because I think, and I agree with you, I think he's one of the best managers that's roaming around in the Premier League. I think he's a fantastic tactician, and he's probably the right guy in order to come into a game like West Ham and try and dissect it. I said earlier on when I'd done a video, I'd done the press conference that David Moyes was doing, and I was saying that if there's a manager that's going to be able to tactically break down any club, it's going to be looking at Bielsa. And some of these teams take longer to start in the Premier League than others do, and that's why I think Matt's saying, and I'm saying that I think, with respect, I think Leeds should be and will be okay come the end of the season. Don't doubt that for a second. But obviously, it's the big game tomorrow, Ellen Road, with fans in the stadium. And do you think that's going to give you guys a helping hand, even though you've got injuries there?
It will give us a helping hand, there's no doubt about it. I think we will start the game strongly. Matt might age really badly. But in terms of prediction, I'm struggling to call it, to be honest. I think if I'm being totally honest, I'm not confident going into this. It's probably the least confident I've been for a long time, to be honest, going into a Leeds game, just because of the injuries more than anything. And the fact that I think West Ham, you really are building a good squad there. I think it's obviously... It reminds me a lot of the Moyes Everton teams. I'm actually from Merseyside kind of thing, so I know quite a bit about Moyes' Everton team. And it's very similar. You see the similarities between Fellaini and Souček. I actually think Souček's a far better footballer, but it's a similar aerial threat. That's a worry as well for us to set pieces. I think we're playing a really, really strong team tomorrow, and probably... I think the team that will come close to breaking the top 4, to be honest, I think they'll be above Arsenal and Tottenham. I think you will be above Arsenal and Tottenham. Leicester as well. I do think whoever finishes above West Ham this season will be in the top 4, to be totally honest. I'm not just saying this to talk up West Ham. I just genuinely do think that. I think you really have built a strong squad. You've kept the best players, and you've added really, really good quality as well. So in terms of what we do tomorrow, to get anything from this game, we need Meslier absolutely on form. We need Phillips absolutely on it. We need Rafinha absolutely on it. There's a lot of talk about the fringe players. Can they step up to the game? We just need our best players to step up in this game. Our real difference makers. Meslier might have to make a couple of saves off Antonio. Phillips is going to have to win that battle against Rice and Souček and stop the defence being put under too much pressure. Easier said than done. And obviously, Rafinha's going to have to step up in the final third and win that battle against Creswell. Again, a lot of key battles there. I think they'll win the ball. But I just think ultimately West Ham are a team playing full of confidence, and we're the opposite at this moment in time. And it's probably one of the last games I want to play without a fully fit squad, to be honest. In terms of, I'm just thinking more about Antonio. Without a Llorente and Robin Kopp there, I just think West Ham, even if we try and pressure, you've always got that out ball into Antonio. If we're pressing Zuma high, he knows he can just smash it down up to Antonio and it's going to stick. If he wins the header, if he makes it stick, if he runs down the channels, we all know about Antonio. I just don't think any of our defenders, without Llorente and Robin Koch, can cope with that man-to-man.
So is Ayling out then? Is Ayling, are we kind of confirming that we think Ayling will be out for the game?
Well, I don't know. Ayling's very rarely injured. I think obviously there's a doubt about Ayling, but at best you go to centre-back. I don't think he'll play at right-back because we need to cover the centre-back situation. So yeah, I mean, Ayling's not had a great start to the season, to be honest. And I think in terms of the one main weakness to his game, and I think he's a top player, Luke Ayling. I think a lot of Leeds fans are turning on Ayling a bit too quickly for my liking after 5 games. But I think his big weakness is aerial duels, to be honest, in terms of against Antonio. Not ideal at all. Not particularly quick either, not slow, but certainly not going to be able to match Antonio stride for stride, or even your likes of your Bowens and that lot stride for stride either.
Mandy G says the Leeds goalie always has one bad mistake when high pressed. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mellier's distribution is better than most goalkeepers in this league. I think it's just the fact that we always try and play out the back. It sometimes gets highlighted a little bit more. There's always going to be the 1 or 2 mistakes, especially if we're not a top 6 club. We might not have the best technicians in the world. There is always the odd mistake. But what I would say to that is, I think there's been one against Man United and I think it might have been the Burnley. No, it wasn't the Burnley game. I think maybe the Everton game where we did concede from Meslier not quite connecting right with the ball. I blame as much, to be honest, people not coming to the ball either. I just think our build-up play has been a little bit messy. It's not just been Meslier. I think it's been other players as well. We've made some ridiculous mistakes in terms of, just ones that I don't think we make with our best players on the pitch at this moment in time. I don't just want to talk about quality because West Ham is showing, in the last 2 seasons that it's not just down to quality. I just think we have got that in us to make a mistake. And I've said to you before that we can start with, I think we started pretty much 4 out of the 5 games well, really well in some cases. But we've just made that one mistake and now we've not recovered from it. It's turned into a 5-1 at Man United. It's turned into a 3-0 against Liverpool. Because if we concede early against you guys, it's real panic stations. I think it could turn nasty tomorrow for us, potentially, if we concede early. But on the other side, if we score early ourselves, I just think it'd give everyone a massive boost around Ellen Road. And that's when you really will feel the home advantage. I just think it's so key. I think the longer you go without winning the game, the more and more kind of nervy it gets. Obviously you guys.
Of course it does, but it probably gets nervy, when it's West Ham that step up against you, with the opposition. If you go long without a game, it's nervy for you guys, but it's West Ham at the end of the day, isn't it, Matt? And that's what the one thing that we do know very much of. Oscar, before we move on, I just want to show everyone who's watching some need to know regarding the game tomorrow, just some stats, etc. So just check this video out. Some interesting stats there for you guys to for
not
everyone
so good
to be
us.
honest. Yeah, well, I've got to be in favour of West Ham, and Oscar. Sometimes, I've got to do it as a West Ham channel. Before I ask you your predictions for the game tomorrow, Ellen Road, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First question is, who should West Ham fans fear tomorrow, Oscar?
Definitely Rafinha. In terms of going forward for Leeds, definitely Rafinha. He's just absolutely. I've got to go as far now to say that he's one of the best players I think I've ever seen live at Ellen Road. I think he would have walked. In terms of when I first started supporting the club, when we had the Champions League European days, I think he would have probably been one of only maybe him and Phillips who'd got into that team. That's very high praise indeed, considering the quality we did have at that stage. I think he's that good. I think, obviously, Phillips, in terms of what he gives us in terms of stability and bit of control in midfield, if he's on it, then yeah, I think Calvin's got to be up there as well. But I think Rafinha's the one who I think Aaron Creswell, I don't think he'll be looking forward to that, to be honest. I don't think he'll be looking forward to that battle. I think that's maybe the one area of the pitch where I think the thing with David Moyes is that everything's organised, everything's structured, you feel like a game's never going to go away from West Ham. They're going to compete. You're never going to batter West Ham. You know, even if you're a top team, you're never ever going to outplay a West Ham team under David Moyes. They're always going to be in the game at the very least, or well on top in the game. I think Rafinha's the one player where you can't really plan for. There's certain things he can do when he's on his absolute best. You know, if it's the goal against Everton, if it's his goals last season, there's certain things he can do that you just can't plan for. You know, it's like the St. Maximin kind of effect. I think he's a far better player than St. Maximin, but that's the one player I think who, outside of the system, can produce just moments of absolute magic and an outstanding footballer who I'm just so glad to see live at Ellen Road now, not just watching him on TV.
Yeah, definitely. And the next question I'm going to ask you is the player you fear the most from West Ham. Let me check this video. Matt, I keep forgetting to put music on that video. Oscar, who's the player you fear the most from West Ham?
This is quite difficult choosing one. It's between Rice and Antonio, I think. I'm probably going to go Declan Rice just because I know how much quality he's got in possession and the fact that he's the player, I think, in that West Ham team that if we are on top in the game, that first 20 or 25 minutes, he can just put his foot on the ball, calm the whole team down, you know, play 5, 6, 7 passes, you know, make that long busting run into the box. I think he's just that all-rounder who just, I think he can settle West Ham down if we do start the game well, or the other way round, you know, give West Ham that foothold in the game. I think he's a fantastic player. So, I think probably is Declan Rice. I think he is the best player in the team.
Brilliant, excellent. Oscar, what's your predictions then for tomorrow?
I'll go 2-2, you know. I'll go 2-2. I think it'll be a similar-ish game to the Everton game on the basis that we've got Rafinha, Harris and Haaland. It might be a strong basis to go off, or very, very clutching at straws basis to go off, to be fair. But on the basis we have them available, I think we've got enough to... I think Rafinha can win that battle against Creswell. Other end of the pitch, you're going to get chances. Certainly on set pieces, you'll get chances. But I'll go 2-2 in the game.
Desmond, excellent. Something it's good to hear. People love you, Oscar, in the chat. Honestly, the banter going in the chat's wild, but people in the chat absolutely love you. Think you're great. So listen, Oscar, mate, from All Leeds TV, we'll drop a link in the description. Go and check them out on All Leeds TV. Great guys, good content. Oscar, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure for the hat-trick appearance on the West Ham, or well, I should say on the channel, but the first appearance on the new channel, the West Ham Network. So we can start again. And hopefully we'll have you back on for the return fixture later in the year. And all the best after tomorrow's game, Oscar.
No, same boys. And I just want to say, please break up that Super League lot. Just keep upsetting them. Yeah, if we can't do it, I just want someone else to do it. If it's for you or Leicester, just keep upsetting them. Keep upsetting that big six, whatever. Tottenham and Arsenal, just get them in the bin and just finish that top four. That's what I want to see. I want to see a West Ham or a Leicester break the moles and finish in that top four.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that, Oscar. Take it easy.
Cheers,
Stay
Oscar.
safe, mate.
No
Cheers,
worries at all, boys.
Take it easy. Bye. Really cool again. Great to have opposition fan on. Nice for. I mean, I've never done a preview where I've had to speak not so much at all. it was the Matt and Oscar show at one point, but that's it was, mate. It's fine. I'm happy with that. That suits me down to a T. In the chat, keep the comments coming in. I'm not going to lie to you. You made me giggle several times. I had to actually come off the screen at a couple of times because I was like, actually like this. belly rumbles, big style. Love it. Especially you, Mr. Frank, Mr. Butcher. Love it, mate. Absolutely.
I saw all the comments coming in. I was trying to keep a straight face.
Listen, it's time to talk West Ham. Honestly, I've got a sore head, Matt, from smiling. My smile is as wide as you can imagine. My head is so sore because I can't focus properly because the chat is just constantly providing so much. I love it. I love it to bits. Absolutely love it to bits. Listen, let's talk about. We'll briefly touch on what David Moyes had to say in the press conference because I did do the show earlier on today. There you go, mate. The press conference, first night of the Oscar, where zero. They're quality. Don't dig them out. Don't dig them out. So Moyes was busy, man. He was talking about on the team news. Fredericks is the only player we have major concerns over. He felt his groin and he won't be fit for this game. With the amount of games we have got, we want everyone ready to play. So I'm hoping they can all do that. I'm not sure how serious Ryan is. However, Mickey is fit and the main, we have a full squad of players. What do you take from that?
Yeah, it is what it is. I did see a bit of a quote from him earlier from the press conference where he said that it almost sounded like he said that he felt something before the game and he wasn't quite sure about it, and they've played him anyway in 10 minutes and he's pulled up. But look, it doesn't sound too serious. Yeah, I mean he's the only real injury concern, isn't he? I think everyone else is fit. More importantly, like he said, Antonio's fit, and that was the only one people were wondering after he got pictured on the screen and rumoured to be in the lineup for the start at Man United. So that's good news to hear, and hopefully Fredericks gets back soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the next part. He talks about Jared Bowen. I always thought Jared was capable of playing up front and given the chance to play the role, he'd be fine at it. He's such a good boy to work with. He's happy to play anywhere and wants games. He deserves any plaudits he gets because he played very well the other night and showed his versatility. What do you think of that, John Jared Bowen?
Moyes' ego will be through the roof now. I'd be like, I proved everyone right again. He'd be like, see, told you could wait another 6 months, another year for a centre forward. I was like, hey, we've got Jared Bowen. It's fine. Someone else can step up and do it. But no, look, he did deserve the plaudits because he has been, for the 2 games, and essentially Antonio hasn't played, he has been fantastic. Both games against Man United as well. Different defences. I did read somewhere, I think he's got the most successful take-ons in the league so far this season.
Yeah, he's number 1, yeah, absolutely.
So when Oscar was saying about, if he gets past Firmino at left back, he's going to be wide open. I was sitting there thinking, well, he's got the most successful take-ons at the moment. So
he looks extremely dangerous when he gets the ball, even from a deep position. In actual fact, you kind of want Bowen to get the ball in a deep position rather than be quite far up the field in the halfway line, because when he turns and runs towards that goal, you kind of feel he's going to cause absolute mayhem in the back line, and especially if Leeds are going to have the problems that they're going to have in terms of injuries and new players stepping in. I think this is a game that Bowen will lap up big style, and I think he'll be mega up for it. Let's move on to the next part of the press conference. Talks about Alex Kroll. I think it will take 6 months for most players to get acclimatised. Alex played really well the other night, and it will give us some options, and that's great for us. What do you think of Alex Kroll?
I thought he was fantastic against Man United for a first game in a new country. As I said, he surprised me with how technically good he was, not just his ability to get up and down and tackle, which is what we brought him in for. We brought him for his defensive ability, but actually what he offered going forward, I thought he was going to be another Souček, but actually I think he's another Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I think his style of play is more suited to that, and I think if Moyes giving him that much praise after one game, when he expects him to take 6 months to adjust, I think he's going to be a good player for us. I think that we'll definitely be activating that buying clause on him.
Yep, absolutely. Let's talk about, we won't talk about that because we did that today. I'm just trying to find the one on the centre backs. Is it here? No, we've done Bielsa. We won't do that. But I want to talk about the centre backs. I don't know any successful team with a poor defence. I think we have a bit of both. We have a really good attacking look to us. We are finding it hard with the way some teams play against us, but we are hard to play against as well. We have great competition at centre half, and at the moment, after terrific performances from Issa Diop and Craig Dawson. What do you take from that?
Yeah, he's rightly praised them up, to be fair, because they have. And, we've said before, Moyes wanted 4 first-choice centre-backs. And I think he genuinely now feels that he has that. And I mean, I personally still think Ogbonna and Zuma will be the starting choice, but it does show you that, you know, it's the form. They have to be on form, because if their form drops and they start performing poorly, Moyes, long gone now are the days, and this is credit to Moyes because he slowly built this over about 3 windows. Long gone are the days where we could sit here and say, no, this is the starting 11, because the guys on the bench will come in as backups. They're like squad rotation, but they're not as good as the first 11 players. Moyes is now sitting there saying to Zuma and Ogbonna, you guys better be informed, better play, better, you know, stay on form, play well, don't make mistakes, don't get red cards. Because if you do make mistakes, if you are lackadaisical, if you don't put the effort in, I've proven I've got 2 guys in the wings waiting to take your spots.
Yeah.
And it breeds competition and good performances.
It does, and I think people, you know, people in the chat here are talking about, you know, how excited they are from Krall. You know, Sideshow Bob saying Krall's a baller. Mandy G would say, would Krall and Rice be a stronger pairing? Where are we here? Neil T saying, I can't wait to see how Krall does with Rice next to him. Epic Hashtime saying Souček is a goal scoring threat. You know, so there's Frank Butcher, Mr. Frankie Boy, is saying give Krall a run out. I mean, is there method in the madness?
I still think at the moment, I think from what you read from Moyes saying it takes 6 months to climb to us, but you play well. I think that does tell you still that Souček and Rice are the starting pair. However, if you remember the back end of last season, we chopped and changed, was it 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
The player playing alongside Souček. Lanzini come in, Lanzini got injured, Fornals went in. And we would just try. We would sit there and talking on previews about like, oh, let's frigging put, you know, maybe we'll put Diop in there. We were like, we need to find someone to sit in there and play alongside Souček. And now it looks like, you know, Agent Souček struck again, and you don't need to worry about that anymore because we've got a guy that could equally start 3 of them. You know, if one of them needs a rest, it's not you know, you now longer no need to worry that, you know, we sat this last season that if Rice or Souček got injured, we'd be knackered. Because we didn't have a backup option. The backup option was Noble. Then, yes, Lanzini come in against a defensive deep line Burnley. Then Fornals had to step up because Lanzini got injured. But now we haven't got to sit there and worry about it because we've got someone that can readily step in and looks as good as what's probably stepping out.
I think the thing is, though, you know, we've got options like we've said all along. But the thing is, and this is the point I want to make, if Moyes was to decide to rest one of the big players that we're used to seeing start in the 11, he's rested him because he's confident that that player that comes in is equal standard to the player that he's resting. So if Krall was to step in position for one of those players, it's not that the player's been dropped. It's because we're playing borderline 50-plus games this season. And we're going to need to rely heavily on all of these players, and that's what we're going to do. And this is why the squad rotation is working really well. A bit like when we're talking about the partnerships, you know, if you have Zuma and Diop performing against Zagreb to the highest level, and you've got Dawson and Diop performing to the highest level against Manchester United in the League Cup, what's to say that one of those parents doesn't step into the Premier League? Does that mean that they're the, you know, it gives us options?
And then, of course, you had Zuma and Ogbonna. So, you know, you've shown that. But essentially, and don't forget, how often last season was it Ogbonna and Dawson?
Yeah.
So now you're seeing that he has got not only 4 first-choice centre-backs, but it's 4 first-choice centre-backs that can all play together. You know, the only thing we haven't really seen is Zuma and Dawson yet.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have to hold my hands up because I remember it was getting to the back end of the window, and we'd done a show, and I was like, you know what? He just needs to get bodies in now. And you was like, no, he'll get players in. I was like, no, he needs to get anyone in because we're running out of players. But credit to Moyes. Moyes said, no, I want first team players in. He goes, I want players that will improve the first team. I don't want to just bring in anybody's. And we had to wait till right at the end of the window, but he has done that, and he's improved not just the depth of the team, but he's improved the quality. So, you know, it's not just brought in someone that will do a job when you get injured. It's someone that if you mess up, he's taking your starting place and you're going to have to fight to get it back again.
Well, do you agree with the comment here that Neil T's making? I think we could afford to rest Souček tomorrow and bring Krall in.
I possibly would have said yes, but only reason I think they'll both start is because they both got rested on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they did travel up, but I'm pretty sure they freaking flew up. I don't think it's much on the range of fitness to get on a plane for 45 minutes, whatever it is, up from London to Manchester. But no, I think they'll both start purely because, and who would have thought this, right? If we'd have sat at the back end of last season or middle of last season, was that the third round or the fourth round last season or the fifth round, whatever it is, when we got knocked out by Everton in the League Cup? And Moyes done the same thing and basically changed 10, 11 players. And that game, it was no ball and Snodgrass. And we got run around. And when they got ran off the pitch, and we turned around at that point and said, if Souček and Rice both get injured, we're going to be struggling. And he done it at Old Trafford. He dropped them both entirely out of the squad. And Noble and Crowell held their own.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's worried about doing it. I think they'll start today. That's right. I think they'll start tomorrow. However, it does leave the option that if he does, if they because they normally do some sort of training in the morning, and if he did do training tomorrow, and they were like, you know what, Souček's looking a bit leggy, and if Crowell started alongside Rice tomorrow, or Crowell started alongside Souček, I'd have no problem with it now. A year ago, if we saw Souček on the bench because he was leggy, but Noble would Snodgrass started in whole midfield alongside Rice, I'd be worried. Now, having brought Crowell in, if Moyes wants to rest them, and it's not dropping, is it? It's resting, because like you said, we're going to play probably 50 games this season. It's reassuring and shows you how well Moyes has progressed, not just the players he gained when he came in, that he got started with, but the transfers he's done.
Well, listen, let me, before I ask everyone in the chat to give me your starting lineups predictions, I want everyone to go and check out Manscaped, who's another one of our channel sponsors. Please go and check them out. They are offering you a 20% off and free shipping with a promo code WESTHAM Network. All you need to do is go to manscaped.com, check out their equipment, really cool equipment, good stuff. I've used it myself. So get involved, but make sure you use the promo code WESTHAM Network. Make sure you check out your balls and make them nice and clean. So if you are watching, go and name me your starting 11 in the chat right now, please. What are you saying, Matt? You're laughing your head off, mate. He's laughing his head off. Oh, Premier looks scary, mate. It's scary. Sorry. I mean, listen, Frank wants to play Ricky and Bianca up top, so each to their own. So get your comments in. Let me know your starting 11. We're going to have a big debate here now. We've done a debate show last night with Russ. He had Joe Seeley on. Really nice show, really cool show. They discussed, who should play in goals over Areola and Fabianski. Matt, we'll start with them two in particular. I mean, who are you going to play?
Oh, see, for me, based on their last two performances, each individually, I would say Areola.
Interesting.
I think he. But I was going to say, this is what we think Moyes will pick. I think Moyes will stick with Fabianski.
Right. Okay.
I think, if Moyes had gone back to what he used to do, where it was the best player plays, and if you come in and do well, by that logic, I think Areola should start. But I think Moyes will stick by Fabianski, at least for now.
We'll stick with Fabianski. And I do tend to agree with you, to be honest. Sorry, Dazzy, oh dear. Thanks, Anton, for the mental image of you hunched over your junk, giving them a trim. I'm cooking sausage. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I apologise. So we're going to go with Fabianski. Are we going to go with 4 at the back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we just... We don't see... Go for it.
It's just got same back 4 as Man United?
Same back 4 as Man United, yeah. We think so. So we'll bring Soufal in there. I mean, the thing I was going to say about Soufal was that I felt like he really needed a rest from the Man United game last weekend.
Yeah,
And
he did.
due to Fredericks getting the injury, he played much more time than what he needed. Now, I don't know if this is a big, bold statement here I'm about to make, but if there's one player that I could see being rested in the back line, it could be him. And it could be him
quite comfortably for Ben Johnson.
For Ben Johnson, yeah, I was going to say
he had an outstanding game
because he had such an outstanding game, albeit it was at left back. But I just wouldn't be surprised, and this wouldn't disappoint me because I think both are very, very capable in that position. I do think Soufal does need that rest, especially the fact he did play midweek, and I don't know. I'm starting to get a suspicion that Johnson will play out there. What do you think if you're watching in the chat, Matt? What do you think?
I think you make a good case, to be honest. I was trying to think, would he? Because I'm looking at this team, I'm looking forward to Thursday, and I'm thinking
because we've got obviously Leeds at home Thursday. The following week, we've got Vienna, and then we've got Brentford on the Sunday.
So I'm thinking, which he's going to rest Soufal for one of them games.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is it today or is it Thursday?
I don't know. I mean, either or can give us a performance really in that position. But I just think Man United targeted in the Premier League last week, targeted Soufal. And that was the area that they worked at all week. And that's where they got most of their success, was down his side. He then, he had a good performance at Manchester United in the League Cup when he came on as a sub after Fredericks went off. However, I think Soufal needs to be rested for this game. I think Ben Johnson's got to step in there and provide. And the fact that he had a good game, that's what makes a bit of sense to me. Are you going to commit to that? I think I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to make a big bold statement here and rest Soufal and put Johnson in at right back. What partnership are we going for in the middle? Same.
I think it'll be Zuma and Ogbonna.
Zuma and Ogbonna. Again, if you're in the chat, let us know. Do you agree with us?
I think their performance against Man United, you couldn't argue against them starting for now. I know Zuma and Diop done well in Europe, and Dawson and Diop done well at Old Trafford against their second string, which is still like £350 million team. But I don't think he'll drop them two for now. I think they looked excellent together. So, and of course, it'll be Creswell, who actually did get a rest.
That's where I'm kind of tending to go with this. So we'll put Creswell in at the left there. Let's go into the central midfield pairing then.
Don't need to talk about that. That's just straight up. I think they both got rested at Man United on Wednesday. I can't see either of them needing a rest when they've had a week off. Like, they didn't play the midweek game. So, should we jump to centre forward first? Because I think that's the only easy one.
Yep. So Antonio returns.
Straight back in.
Straight back in there. There we go. Excellent.
And you know what? I actually think at the moment it's probably quite an easy choice for the three. Because you said this is one game you would definitely rest Soufal. I was sitting there thinking, before the press conference today, I was sitting there thinking this would be a game we need to rest Bowen.
But he's picked them up.
Yeah, exactly. So in that instance, I think it will be the quite standard front three at the moment. I think it'll be Bowen, Fornals and Benny. Yeah.
Put Benny in behind.
Yeah, and Fornals on the left. Or Benny on the left, Fornals behind. They sort of swapped them two around a lot, didn't they? So
yeah,
I think it will be that. I think I was before his press conference, I was going to say, I wonder if he'd drop Bowen or rest Bowen for Vlasic. But given that the comment he made about Krau, and expects it to take him 6 months to get up and running, and then given the comment of how well Bowen's played, and also that was the only other way I was going to argue that Soufal might start, is if he's got Bowen in front of him again.
Mm-hmm.
Purely because he does a hell of a lot of work, Bowen, but his work rate defensively helping Soufal out really goes unnoticed at times.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if But again, would you change 2 players on the same side at the same time? Would you put Johnson and Vlasic both out there?
Nah, I don't see it, to be honest, mate. I think the fact that he's bigged up Bowen, and the fact that Bowen is giving us like 2. I mean, he's given us great performances all season, but 2 really, really noticeably fantastic performances means that you think Bowen, you think Moyes might be looking at the consistency.
I think Moyes is going to hope, and again, it's bold assumptions, that by like the 60th, 70th minute, we're 2-0 up. And then he can take off Bowen and bring on Vlasic.
Yeah. What do you think about this one here then? James Bong is saying, as much as I love Fabs and Oggy, I'd try the French back 3, so Areola and Diop. I mean, the situation with this is that's two big changes through the core middle of the park. I do have the confidence and the faith in the players that are there, but I just can't see him doing it.
As I said, when we picked the goalkeeper, I would play Areola. I think if you go on both their last performances, both against Man United, I think Areola came out with a lot more plaudits and a lot more credit to his name than Fabianski did. However, it depends on your opinion. Some people say that he had a very good game against Man United, Fabianski. He made some very good saves. I think he did make some good saves, but I also think he made some poor mistakes. Areola didn't. So, but look, it's trying to get in Moyes' head. And I think Moyes, until Fabianski pulls his hamstring again, kicking the ball, or until he has a shocker like he did against Newcastle at the back end of last season when he dropped it on the goal line, until he does one of them, I don't think he'll drop Fabianski.
Yeah.
And I don't. You can't drop. For me, you can't drop Ogbonna at the moment. The way the 2 of them played, and for the most part, kept Ronaldo in their back pocket on Sunday. I don't think you can drop either of them.
NWO saying Lanzini for Benny. I mean, Lanzini's not been, but the thing is, though, coming off a goal at the weekend, having a good performance in the claret and blue, he's been around for so many years. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I can see the argument for it.
I think that tackle on Wednesday, because he got subbed off for it, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think they're risking. However, again, people are forgetting, after tomorrow, we've got 2 games in 4 days on Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I think at home to Rapid Vienna, Lanzini will start in the number 10 again. So essentially, he's started one game, played 60 minutes, got a knock and come off, sits on the bench today, might come off the bench in the second half because we want fresh legs, and then he'll start on Thursday. It's because we're not used to playing in Europe, we're not used to this.
Yeah, we're not used to this at all. We're sitting here trying to pick this 11, knowing that we've got the Europa League, and the fact that players have been not rested, that should have been rested, that look like they could have done with a rest, has an effect on potentially the choice you make. Hence the reason that I've maybe put in there, Johnson over Soufal, and Soufal, if he gets that full rest, mate. I mean, Soufal can perform twice a week, no problem at all. But I think the fact is he looked like it was one of his weakest games in a West Ham shirt against Manchester United last weekend. Meant that
then he's had the rest. No, he has had the rest.
Yeah, he hasn't had the rest.
Had he played Krau and Souček against Man United Wednesday, I would have been like, no, don't play Souček.
Yeah.
But the fact that him and Rice both managed to get not play at all, they managed to not have any involvement in the game, not even on the bench.
Yeah.
I think they'll both start again. We forget Zuma's running capabilities. He had the highest running stats in the league last season. He can do that sort of stuff. So he has no problem doing that once a week.
Yeah, no. WHUFC saying he'd play Bowen for 60 minutes. He needs a rest to bring on Vlasic. AD Star is saying Bowen will start and then sub for Vlasic. Zach Parker saying Areola deserves his Premier League and home debut for us. But we're not playing at home, though. But Fab can play Thursday. That's the thing. We're playing away. I can't understand this knocking of Fabs. It's weird. I think I know a lot of people are knocking him, but I think there's a genuine, belief in the 2 goalkeepers that we've got. And we've seen Areola once, but we did see him a lot in the Premier League last year, and we know we've got bang for his buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Run
Fulham's
that
player of the year last season.
Ronda and Tony Tanti. Moyes will do what Moyes does, and he'll play the starting lineup as last weekend with Antonio in and Bowen going back to his normal position.
Which is basically what we've picked. Bowen dropping back in for Vlasic and Antonio going up front.
Yep. Frayne, 1950. Rapid Vienna will be a walk in the park for West Ham United. I do live in Vienna. No Rapid. Worst team in the European League group. Frayne, if you do live in Vienna, or do you support Vienna? And if you do, could you do me a favour, please, mate? Could you send me an email on the following email address, please? And I'll get in touch with you if that's okay. Where is it here? network@gmail.com. Please send me an email, please, Frayne, if you can, if you don't mind. Oh God, that's huge. How do I bring that down, Matt?
What's that?
That email address there. Sorry. But if you are watching, let me know your thoughts on the team that we've put up there. Frayne, if you are watching that, please email me. That would be great. My name's Anton. If you did not know that, I mean, you know what? A couple of players that change in that team lineup. You know, if we bring, say, the likes of Vlasic in here instead of Bowen, and Bowen takes a rest, I mean, it's not a bad decision. I just don't think Bowen needs the rest. I think he's ready to rock and roll. And I think Vlasic coming off the bench, yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Take him a bit of time to get used to the Premier League. Vice versa, if it goes, you know, I think Benny is ready to start this game, mate. And I think this will be a good game for Benny.
I think the way that Oscar said they play, where they try and man mark like across the pitch, is mental. And that will leave the game wide open for someone like Benrahma.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. That's our predicted starting 11 for the Leeds United game. Get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts. And do you agree with it or not? I mean, I think there'll be potentially one or potentially two changes there. But either way, I'll be happy with what team and trust in Moyes, what he is doing 100%, mate. Before we get cracking on, if you are new around here, please make sure you are subscribing to the channel. It really does help us out. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Please leave a comment, of course, and hit the thumbs up. So please push that thumbs up right now. I think it's somewhere down there or over where Matt is, over there. If you don't like the show, hit the thumbs down. But if you do, hit the thumbs up. If you want to become a member, go and check out the members page on YouTube, and then you can see what opportunities you've got to support the channel as well. And yeah, you can check it out. We've got merchandise coming soon. Hopefully we'll get that stuff up and running for you very, very shortly. But I think it's that time of the show, mate, where we ask everyone in the chat if you can give us your predictions. So what are your predictions for the game tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff at Ellen Road? Myself and Matt will be around doing the match day live. Is that right, Matt?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll be.
I had a massive brain fart then and was like, we're playing at home. No, we're not playing away. Yeah.
Playing away. Yeah. So we'll be giving you the match day live. That will be starting just before 2 o'clock. We'll give you hopefully some exclusive team news as well before the 2 o'clock window. And come and join us tomorrow at about 10 to 2, I think it is. We're going to go live 1:50. So make sure you come and check us out. But put your predictions in the chat. We'll go through that. Matt's left me because he's got absolutely crap internet, and we'll get Matt back in and we'll go through his predictions as well. Who have we got? We've got Gatesy. Is that you from Forge from Iron? Go check them out. Go and hit the subscribe button and Forge from Iron, West Ham United. Gatesy, good lads over there as well. So go and check them out, please. Hit the subscribe button. Matt, what are you tapping? What are you tapping away?
So I was going to say, I've just seen the result for the football prizes competition. I don't know if that person's popped one of our channel, but Craig Gubbins.
Craig Gubbins. I bet you that's your alias name you've got.
No, I didn't know.
Right, listen, mate. What's your predictions for tomorrow's game?
3-1.
3-1 West Ham. That is a confident Matt Flack. That's a confident Stato. Actually, what's going on with your name? Are you trying to get rid of this? Are you trying to get rid of this thing, Stato? Are you? We're changing that right back there. There you go. I just clocked that there. How dare you do that, mate? How dare you do that? 3-1 Matt's predicting. Right, I'm going to go with 2-0 West Ham. I'm going to go for a clean sheet, much needed clean sheet again. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. West Ham to take the points. Pat Mahone is saying 18-0. I will be right one day. Neil T is saying 4-0. We are fucking massive. Lee Vasallo 3-1. West Ham. Come on, you irons. Lee, what are we, mate? What are we, mate? Please let me know. Danny Jackson 4-0 to West Ham. 80 Star saying 3-0. Here's the hope. It's hope that kills you. It does, mate. It really, really does. Joan is saying 2-0 West Ham. Antonio with a brace. Frank Butcher. Oh, Frank. Hope we get another clean sheet tomorrow. That would be lovely. Steve Irons saying 4-0 to Antonio. Crazy Call saying 3-0 West Ham. Duzzy O'Dare saying 4-1 West Ham. James Bong saying 1-0 West Ham. Narky saying 3-1 to the Mighty Irons. Full, he's back in the house with his 1-0 to the opposition. Leeds. And Neil saying 3-0 West Ham. Finally, a set-piece goal. Lee Vasallo says, I would love a clean sheet. Crosshammer says, I already like the video because of Phil. Frank, because he's done my head in. Come on, you irons. Frank Butcher saying 2-0 West Ham. PSF and Leeds. So Leeds 3, West Ham 0. Boo. But thanks for joining us. Forge for mine, yes, it is much appreciated for your support. Just need 76 more to hit 1K. So go across to Forge from Iron. Hit that subscribe button. Go and help the channel out. Please do that. Bernie, 2-1 West Ham. Frayne, does your dear museum? Whoa, lots of information there. Stato, alias Craig Cubbins, absolutely. Rhonda, we're getting close to giving it to someone, so I'll pick a 5-0 West Ham win. There you go. Well done, Matt. Craig. yeah, Anton, clean sheet. Come on. Crosshammer 1-0. Hope I'm wrong. Pork stud. Frayne, I am watching. Just feel free to ask. Please email. Please email me. Epic Hashtime 10-0. Lee Vasallo, we are massive over land and sea. Come on, you irons. We are. Lee Newham saying 3-1. Mandy G saying 1H. WHUFC 3-0 to West Ham. Antonio to score first. Damien saying would love to see Lanzini getting more game time. You better be wrong, Crosshammer, mate. 1-0. I ain't having it, son. What is it? You said that wrong, Anton. Tell Frank sorry. I'll send Janine over. Please don't send Janine over. We all know what she's capable of with it when it comes to the cliffside. Antonio and Benny on the score sheet. Listen, that brings an end to our preview, our match day build-up show for you. Hope you enjoy it. Please join us for the match day live tomorrow. Before we go, 2 questions for you, Matt. Player we should fear the most from Leeds?
If he plays, Rafinha. If not, I'm actually going to say Rodrigo. Because he's one of them ones where he's due a performance. And I know this is the new West Ham, but I always think back to the old West Ham. And on the old West Ham, when someone's due a performance, it's normally into West Ham. So
yeah,
they're two very good, very different players, but two very quality players.
Yeah, excellent. And who is the player that they should fear the most?
You know what? I'm going to stick with form, so I'm going to say Bowen.
Bowen.
I think he's our most informed player right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to agree with you on the Leeds players. I think the player that they should fear the most, especially with their defensive issues, is going to be Antonio. I think between Bowen and Antonio, I think they're going to cause them a lot of concerns tomorrow in their defence. And fingers crossed they do, and we can walk away with the 3 points, because it would be nice to bounce back from the Premier League defeat last weekend and do it and take the game to them. So fingers crossed we can do it. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on the West Ham Network. Be sure to check us out. I'm sorry, I'm going to break the news to you. There is no late show this evening. There really isn't, because Stell and Russ are off doing whatever they want to do and leaving the handing the chalice to myself and Stato to just do everything, and we'll be doing everything again tomorrow. So I'm going to take a well-earned rest this evening. So please come and check us out tomorrow for the Match Day Live. Much appreciated for joining us. Let's see what everyone else is doing and saying before we go. Eddie's saying our defense looks so hot. Lee Vasallo said, thanks, lads. Great show as always. Be lucky, chat. Irons. Forrest is saying all Jared needs is a goal, but his work rate is absolutely phenomenal. It really is. Neil T, they should fear everyone. Where is it? Janine Butcher is going to walk all over that Cooper. Loving the chat, people. Hope we get 3 points tomorrow. We can do this. For Sheezy, mate, I know, but yeah.
It's only 2 of us around. They've just left us.
It's just left us. Sorry, I'm going for an Antonio hat trick. Cheers, all, big hug. Yes, he is. He literally is. Anyway, thanks for joining us from Stato and Anton and the West Ham Network. Subscribe, like, comment, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Come on, you irons.